But today, I have noticed in my library, I have got nothing on conversions. Now, as an online marketer, we are so, focused on products and driving traffic and trying to accumulate those sales, but we actually forget about the conversion part of it. And there's many ways to actually drive, improve your conversions. And one of them that I want to talk about is email marketing and, just kind of using specific tools and softwares to help you measure conversions and read the data. And for that, I had to bring on an expert that is quite experienced in this. And I scoured the kind of industry and I came across this amazing entrepreneur. I want to welcome Adam Holland. He's coming in live from America now. Thank you so much, Adam, for joining us on the Dream University segment here.
It's great to be here.
Now, if you don't know Adam, you must be living in a desert, because if I tell you a little bit about...
I live in a desert.
He's generated 12 million, guys, 12 million in revenue for himself and clients. He's generated over, was it 12 million visitors? Something along those lines. I don't know 100%.
Yeah, we've done over 10 million revenue and about 12 million visitors. We're well over like 500,000 in leads now. For clients, and it's myself and my client work. I do a lot of client work, but yeah, it's getting the traffic and the leads is the easy part. And what we're going to talk a lot about today is let's convert that traffic and those leads into money. That's where the bottom line counts.
That's it, Adam. And the thing about what I spoke to Adam about, I said, look, what can you do for us on the show? And he said, I'll give you 3 tips on conversions and how to 10x your income. So I think that's really important to understand the headline, because think about it. This expert has done it for so many years, so much practicing, trial and error. For them to drop 3 tips, it must be very high productive tips and very, very rich. So, Adam, first of all, I'm very interested in your background. I want to know, but you started in 2008, but your background is actually in engineering. So tell me about it. What made you kind of come onto online marketing? Is it any relation in that?
Yeah, well, yes and no. I mean, basically, it was an interesting path where I was kind of like the ball in a pinball machine, just flopping around in between different things. And I was in college for engineering, and I had actually got a chance to visit some other people that were engineers. And I got to see like the cubicle lifestyle while I was still in college. Most people, they graduate from college and then they go and see the cubicle lifestyle and they're like, oh, this was it. Like, I got to do this for 40 years. I saw that luckily before I had left college. And I was just like, ooh, I don't know if this is going to be for me. I'm like, I really like, people are like, oh, you're good at math, just do engineering stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is interesting to me or whatever. But what I quickly realized was I might be good at these certain things, or I might have these certain skill sets, but I knew what lifestyle I didn't want to have. Right. So my senior year in college, I got introduced to the network marketing industry by this punk, snot-nosed 19-year-old kid who was making like just about as much as his professors were before he was at, it was like his sophomore year in college or whatever. And he's got, he had bought a brand new like Honda Accord V6, so most people that were working jobs for 5 years didn't have a new car. You know what I mean? So I was like, I need to listen to what this guy's doing. And he kind of was one of my first experiences where I was like, I can write my own paycheck. And that just like pinballed me, I guess you can call it. It was basically the ball in the pinball machine. And I tried a bunch of different opportunities, tried a bunch of different network marketing companies, and it eventually led me online to a guy named Jonathan Budd. And Jonathan at the time was another snot-nosed punk little kid living in his parents' house, and he had gone from 0 to about like 12 grand a month. And I found him right when he was at 12 grand a month. This is like November of 2007. And he showed me how to generate leads online. And I'm like, you mean I don't have to go to the mall and like harass people to get leads for my MLM, whatever. So I was like, wow, generating leads, that sounds interesting. And then, you fast forward a few months after that, I had made a little bit of money online, but I got laid off from my job. I was in technical sales. So I was still kind of doing engineering stuff, but I was still doing stuff where I was like interacting with humans as opposed to just sitting behind a computer all day. And, luckily, I was able to take all that experience and wrap it into my current career. But, as soon as I figured out how to generate traffic and leads online, it was game over. I'm like, this is it. I can basically work from anywhere, work on my own schedule. And now, I mean, life's completely different.
I mean, when you start online first, it's quite scary because there's so much going on. And how did you actually kind of manage that? Why didn't you just give up? Because a lot of people do. I mean, even I came to, when I started, it was so much confusion and it was so overwhelming. It's unbelievable. But yes, it takes really strength to kind of go past that and keep going. How did you do it?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I mean, one, I always suggest finding a mentor, somebody that like you're on the same wavelength with, because if you're on that same wavelength and you have that same interest, like if video marketing appeals to you or SEO or, whatever appeals to you, you find a mentor that's on the same wavelength. That was a huge help. But for me, I was laid off from my job, broke, unemployed. I didn't have like a marketing budget. So that kind of limited, how many things I could go out and do. So for me, it was, I'm going to write articles and blog posts and make, as much content as possible and get backlinks and all that crap to it to try and get it ranked on Google. And it was all search engine optimization, SEO stuff. And I literally would do it for probably 10, 12 hours a day for 5, 6, maybe 7 days a week. And I did it for, I built about 55, I think it was like the 55th or 56th website where I actually figured out how SEO works, how the pieces went together, and that, all my previous blogs maybe made me a couple $100, but that 55th blog, whatever it was, generated about $60,000 for me in about 9 months. And that was more than I had ever made it a job. And I was like, okay, it clicked. I figured out how this works. And that was basically the name of the game for me. By the end of my first year, I was doing $20,000 a month, and that was 2008, 2009-ish.
Excellent stuff. No, excellent stuff. Now, the common question here people ask is, I don't think people tend to know the difference between traffic and conversion. Can you explain what those two things are? And how important it is to drive traffic, but also to convert it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, when I first started, I was much more focused on the traffic side because it just makes sense. Well, traffic is website visitors coming to your website, so you're getting eyeballs on your website, looking at your offer, whatever it is, your capture page, your sales page, an e-commerce store, whatever it is. But the problem becomes if you have a website that's not converting. It doesn't matter if you have 10 visitors or 10 million visitors, it's not making you any money. As a matter of fact, you don't want to have 10 million visitors to your website because chances are your hosting costs are $30,000 a month. And now you're losing lots and lots of money on all those visitors, So, and again, those numbers aren't, set in stone, but I mean, you want a $30,000 bill when you're making money from those 10 million visitors a month because you're probably making quite a bit more than the 30,000. You might be making 30 million a month, whatever. But regardless, basically traffic is website visitors coming to your website, and the conversion side is turning those visitors into revenue. And a lot of people think, well, I have to sell them something. Sure, you can do that. Or if you're generating, leads and sending those leads to another service, or offer, affiliate offer, whatever it is, they could pay you on a per click or even a per lead basis or a per sale basis. So you don't necessarily need to have a sale to generate money. You can have, little ads on your website and get paid for the ad revenue. There's lots of different ways to make money. And kind of what you were saying is, when you first come online, the problem isn't like, there's scams out there. And the problem isn't, I really wonder how to make money online. The problem is there's literally like a million ways to make money online and a million different ways to go about each one of those other million things, so it becomes information overwhelm. And it's like, well, I want to do this and this and this and this. And most people lack that focus. And if you focus on getting, one traffic source and focus really on your conversions, you'll have a sustainable business that'll continue pumping out profits day in and day out.
Excellent stuff, Adam. So here my argument with you, just to kind of go a little bit deeper into your mind, is my attitude, I have to say I've made the mistake at the beginning, was traffic, right? And the product has to be brilliant and everything has to be perfect. I wasn't actually bothered about them not buying at that point. I just wanted to drive as much. Now, the argument that comes in is, which was my mistake, was that, hold on a minute, they're coming to my website, aren't they? They must be interested. I'm doing something right for them to come on. Now, whether they buy or not is not my problem. It's just something that they're not doing. So can you explain to the audience why conversion is important? The psychology of them coming to your website. Okay, fine, they're interested in your ad, they've seen the headline, they came to your website, but then the psychology, what stops them there, and why conversion, the science of conversion, is important at that point?
Yeah, so basically, like I said, if you're getting all that traffic to your website and it's not turning into revenue, that's a real easy way to just lose a bunch of money, on that traffic. So to give you like one more specific example, I was just promoting a webinar this past week. We did a webinar last Wednesday, and about like the 3 or 4 days before that, I was promoting that webinar with Facebook ads, and I also did in the email drop. So I basically paid a big guru who had a huge list a bunch of money to email his list. And it was funny, I actually got a much better response on my own marketing, and on some of my Facebook campaigns, I was spending as much as $5 per click.
Yes.
So a lot of people would freak out and say, oh my God, I just want to get traffic as cheap as possible. And that's not really the way to win the battle. I didn't mind spending $5 or $6 a click because 50% of those people were opting in roughly. So I was talking, the real number was somewhere between $10 and $12 a lead, maybe as high as $14 a lead from that traffic source. And another little side note too, all of my campaigns started at around $44 per lead, $44 per webinar registration. So most people would be like, oh my God, $44 per lead, like I quit, that's it. But when you're focusing on the conversion side, you're looking at, okay, well, what ad is converting better than another? Let me turn off the ads that aren't doing well. And then let me look at my landing page. What can I change in my landing page to get better results? And just trying lots of different combinations. It's basically a slot machine where you have control over each one of those slots that are spinning. And because you can take off, some of the certain fruits like the pineapples or something like that and add in maybe the cherries or the bar or something like that, you can kind of manipulate the slot machine to pour out more money. And that's all what optimization is about and what conversions are about. And I already had run a similar webinar before last October, and I knew my numbers. I had generated in October only 150 something leads. We had generated around, I think it was 19 or 20 buyers, and that generated around $26,500 in revenue. I'm just like going by memory here. And most people would be like, oh my God, I've generated hundreds of leads before and I don't even have a tenth of that revenue. Well, it's because I focused on the conversion side of things heavily. And now doing this, like I didn't mind even if I was spending $44 a webinar registration, because I knew if I was making on average, what is that, like $120 or $140 per lead on average? Well, that means even if I'm spending $44 a lead and I'm making $100-something per lead, I'm like tripling my money.
That's such an interesting point. I think this is missed a lot because the emphasis is on cheap leads, but when you look at the customer lifetime value, you're looking, is it the long-term vision you look at then? How much it's not just the long-term vision, it's the fact that because I've been online long enough and I've kind of failed my way through the conversion side of things, now traffic comes easy because I know how to put ads online. And even as an expert, you need to realize that like there is, I think I got this from Dr. Flint McLaughlin. He owns a company called Mech Labs, and they do lots of split testing for Fortune 500 companies. But he said there's no such thing as an expert marketer. We're only experienced marketers. And even our tests are going to come back. Some of them are going to come back as failures. I said this on a recent webinar that we did as well. It was either Agora Publishing or Stansberry Research. Both of them are $100 million a year investment information product companies. I'm pretty sure it was Agora that said like 75 or 80% of their marketing campaigns fail. Right.
So like you need to realize that like, yes, you're going to go out there and fail and fall flat on your face, and you're going to spend money. Like I spent money on that email ad, and I don't even know if I'm going to get a return on my investment from that promotion. But the reason I was able to still spend like $4,600 in ads so far, and we're at about $20,000 in revenue, and I expect to, a lot more to come in. I was willing to risk that $3,000 on that particular email drop, that solo ad, whatever you want to call it, because I knew that I was going to focus really heavily on conversions to make sure that I got, every dollar out of each visitor that I possibly could, and make sure that if they're not interested in what was on the webinar, we're following up with them and trying to get them in another program or another product, or, really see what their needs are in their business. So.
Excellent. Good stuff. Now we've got a question coming in. Do you mind me taking a couple of questions as we go?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's Julia. Thank you, Julia, for coming to class today. You've qualified for, actually, I forgot to tell you guys, there's a free gift for all attendees, very, very generously given by Adam. It's his new ebook called Conversion Trinity. I'm very, very excited to, I've actually had a look at it, but I want to feedback on that. So yeah, that'll be available after the show, guys. So congratulations, Julia, for that. So Julia's asking, do you put emphasis on converting at the front end, or do you spend a lot of time converting through email?
All the above. I created a product called Fantastic Follow-Up about a year ago. And it's basically like a brain dump of like my 8 years doing conversions. And when people say, well, what do you focus on? I don't want to say like everything, because it sounds overwhelming. But like the point here is like with my funnel, I know what the next step in the process is. So all I need to do is, okay, let me identify this particular lead. Where are they in that step of the process? And how do I get them to the next step? So when it comes to the people that are leads, am I doing follow-up with them? Yes, there's automated follow-up, and there's also the broadcasts. So like the people that have gone through my webinar, some of them registered and didn't attend. So I'm doing email follow-ups to them as well as my list to get them back to the replay. But what about the leads that actually clicked on the button at the end of the webinar and they went through a form that's got, name, email, their phone or Skype. It tells me how many leads they wanted to generate, how many leads they want me to generate for them, and what their autoresponder service is. So those people, they had already kind of raised their hands saying that, yes, I'm interested in ordering, but they didn't pay for their initial consultation yet. So here we are. They're not a cold lead anymore. I know that they've at least gotten to the website, gotten enough information to want to place an order, but they haven't placed that initial order yet. Okay, well, what's the next step in the process for them? So we've got a spreadsheet where I've got my assistant manually emailing, Skyping, doing phone calls to contact all these people. Hey, by the way, your $97 consult, I don't know if it was an issue with PayPal, or you're waiting for a paycheck, or there was an error on the form, or whatever it was, but here's the link again to get to PayPal. So going through that extra little effort of doing that meant that instead of 16 sales, we got 21. You know what I mean? It can literally be like, that doesn't sound like, oh, it was only a couple more. Let's say it was 18 or 21 instead of 18 sales. That's only 3 sales. But if you look at 3 out of the 18, what is that, like a sixth? Yeah, so that's a 16% increase in sales by sending out a couple of manual emails. So most people, again, they're just trying to email their list and that's it. So we're doing webinars. We're going to upload the list to Facebook and remarket to them, which means that people that have hit your website, you can actually advertise specifically to those people. Not going to go through the whole remarketing training or whatever, but there's, and then, people that purchase, if they're at like 1,000 leads or more, we know what our margins are. So what I'm probably going to do in the next couple weeks is create like a little direct mail letter. And if we've got their mailing address, I'm going to send them a letter in the mail. Now that letter might cost me $5, $7, $10, if maybe more if they're international, to actually send them out. But it's going to basically be a letter saying, hey, you've got leads, but do you have conversions? We want to be able to help you out with that. Go ahead and go to this website, fill out a form. And what are we going to do with that? We'll contact them, see if they need a sales funnel built, see if they want consulting, see if they need my follow-up course. So it's basically like you can follow up in any way, shape, and form that you want, but you need to be very proactive about it. So many people are kind of sold on this, I don't want to say lie, this little fib of automated systems doing all the work for you, automated income online, hands off, sit behind a computer. Just send us traffic, we'll do all the work. every single top earner and every single opportunity that I've ever met have all had personally branded sales funnels, and all do their own follow-up and are very proactive at generating those sales.
Excellent.
And their system on the back end might be automated. You don't have to worry about shopping carts and the autoresponder integration and a lot of like the technical like merchant accounts and all that stuff. But at the same time, like, you need to be very proactive in generating those sales. And I already gave a few tips out there, but I'll share one tip with everybody is, if you go online right now, like let's say you're promoting a business opportunity or something like that, you go and you get like a private label rights ebook, you spend $5 on it, but then you have the rights to it now. You might, throw your name and your picture on the cover of it, so it's now branded to you. You do a webinar with a few tips that you learned even on this call or any of Fizz's other podcasts and other interviews that you've done. Share 3 tips from everything that you've learned from the I Have a Dream shows. You put that in the webinar. At the end of the webinar, say, hey, if you like this kind of content and you want to work with me personally, here's the link to my business opportunity. If you join in the next 72 hours, I'll give you this copy of my ebook, whatever. Okay. So now it's the same opportunity as it was last week, but you're leading with value. You're building that trust and rapport with your list through the webinar, and you're giving them an additional piece of value if they, sense of urgency, order within the next 72 hours or by Friday at 9 p.m. or something, Eastern Standard Time or something like that. So literally that strategy is what sets the difference between just a regular affiliate that's going to go out there and maybe break even on their marketing promotions to the gurus that go and they 3x, 5x, 10x their money over and over and over again.
I love that. Do you know what? Just talking to you, Adam, I can tell the difference in the mindset where it comes. It's all about the mindset, how you think about this, because generating cheap traffic and all that is just like, pushing like a whole load of people on. But it's quality stuff that you're doing here. You're justifying that $45 you spend on that lead. You're maximizing the full potential of exposure to that person through specific email marketing techniques and through phone calls and follow-ups. And that, you're right, this is how people make loads of money, by quality follow-ups. So making sure they're maximizing that amount that they spend on the good targeted leads they get in the first place. Mm-hmm. So Adam, this is an interesting question I want to ask you. Because of your background as an engineer, right, do you use and, if, or else statements? Like, say for example, if someone comes on to if someone opts in to your email, they didn't click, if they don't click, then this will happen. Or do you have those kind of instances planned out before you send out your campaigns?
I won't necessarily have them in my personal funnels. I've done some segmentation and stuff for client funnels and everything before, but like basically what I was describing with the where that lead is in that process, what stage they're on, that really is like an if-then statement, So for the engineers, that's basically like if you've got a tree. I used to have it on this. I got this huge like 7-foot whiteboard over here, and it was like literally like branched all out. On that for a quiz that we're actually going to be launching on one of our websites. And it was like, do you have a current business? Yes or no? And if they don't, are you interested in starting one? Okay, yes or no. And if they're not, we'll send them to like careerbuilder.com or something, whatever. But if they are, it's like, okay, well, what's your budget? Or what type of business are you most interested in? And give them a bunch of choices or whatever. Or if they already had a business to begin with, great. Well, what are you struggling with in your business right now the most? Is it traffic? Is it, closing that traffic or those leads into sales? Whatever it is. So depending upon where they go down the rabbit hole, we can prescribe like a doctor, whatever the solution is, whatever the cure is for where they are in their business or potential business and everything. So going back to, your question about the if-thens, yeah, I mean, with this funnel right here that we had for the webinars, did they, go on the webinar? Great. Well, did they go to the replay page? No. Make sure we keep emailing them to make sure they get to the replay page, So if people really understand their funnel and understand those steps in the process, most people's funnels are like the capture page to the sales page, and then they're going to check, do the checkout process. If most people are just emailing their list and they're just like, hey, I thought you liked, I hope you liked the content, and, message me if you have any questions. That's not being proactive. It's okay. I hope you enjoyed the free content. By the way, if you order until, if you order by tonight or if you order by Friday, I'll throw in this, this, and this as a bonus to my whatever course, and or joining this opportunity, whatever it is. Go ahead and click the button below, like giving specific calls to action, because most people, like, they don't know what the next step is. And even if you know what it is, you need to explain to them what the actual next steps are.
That's another point I want to actually bring up. Remind me of that, being very specific in action calling. But we've got a question coming in, Adam. I promised these, my dream chasers, that I take questions throughout. We've got Hamid. Thank you very much, Hamid, for coming to live class. He's asking, I do the lead pages and I do follow-ups, but I don't know what is good stats. If Adam can explain what a good conversion rate is on a lead page and what a good open rate is, should it be 100%?
Yeah, I wish, man. If we had 100% open rates and click-through rates, well, first of all, always come up with the understanding nothing is going to be 100% ever. So the big thing, like the overarching answer for all of those is always better than yesterday's stats. Like, you always just want to be improving. So no matter what you start at, you always want to tweak as much as you can to try and bring those numbers up. Like I said, even with all my experience, like I started at $44 leads when I started a new campaign, which is like atrocious, but I was able to get those down to like $7 because I figured out what ad was or wasn't working. I figured out what targets or age groups on Facebook were more apt to opt in, that kind of stuff. So, oops. I'm getting like pop-ups in my Google, whatever. So but to kind of give you like real life numbers as far as what I look at, as far as open rates, 10% or more, it has to be. If I get less than that, it generally means either the email list is dead, or a part of it is dead, or the subject line just wasn't very good, or maybe the emails are going to spam. There's a few different things to look at there. Normally when people say they're getting really bad open rates, if you're sending from an email address that is like your own Gmail or Yahoo or Hotmail, don't do that. It's just going to like kill your deliverability rates. Try and just buy a domain name. GoDaddy's got a sale like $3 for a .com. Create an email address with it, which you can do if you, I'm assuming you have your own hosting account. You can get, Bluehost or anything like that. It's got free email, with it. So basically email from like you@you.com, or whatever your email address is, your own personal branded domain.
Love it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's one big thing. As far as like opt-in rates and everything, numbers can be very deceiving because in terms of opt-in rates, because you don't know what the traffic source is. Like when I was spending the $5-6 whatever a click, I had 50% opt-in rates because it was a very high quality, highly targeted list. And the landing page was very highly targeted for exactly what that interest was that I was targeting. Now, and that cost per lead was like, let's say again, $12 or roughly. But if I go and I do a magazine ad for like several $1,000s, and those several $1,000s only get me like 100 clicks or something like that, well, that means I'm still paying like $10 a click or whatever, but 90% of the people are opting in because they actually had to take the magazine near their computer and physically type in like the URL that was in the magazine or whatever. Yeah. So you're like, oh my God, like this capture page is getting 90% opt-in rates. It's like, no. It's because the traffic source was them literally having to come to their computer and type in the address manually. Exactly. And then if they're gonna literally walk to the computer with the magazine, sit down, type it in, and it's got a 90, you're going to have a 90% opt-in rate or an 80% opt-in rate. You know what I mean? Because they had to go through all that. They were already kind of pre-sold before they even got there. But if I'm doing like pop-up ads, that same opt-in page that you get a 90% opt-in rate on might get like a 1% opt-in rate.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah,
makes sense. Now, Adam, to wrap all this up, because I've got loads of questions coming in as well. Now, let's do this exercise, right? I'm going to give you a scenario. So pretend I'm a client. I've come up with a new product that you spray your hair and it magically grows or something, right? So I say to you, Adam, right, okay, so I want to start an email campaign. I want to start I want a good lead generation page. What would your advice be to me? So bearing in mind time sensitivity, call to actions, strict call to actions, very, very direct, not spamming. valuable content as a trusted advisor as well, because I've developed this product. I know what I'm talking about, all this sort of stuff. So how would you advise me? Would you ask me to sit down and plan out a whole campaign? What kind of headlines would I use? What kind of pop-ups would I use? So I'm going to give you this kind of little mini project to do live with me now. So it kind of all wraps in.
Yeah. So if this is a physical product, the first thing I do is get a landing page together that talks about like the features and benefits and everything of it, and ask for the opt-in. If it's a physical product like that, I mean, most of the time, if it's an information product, we can ask for an opt-in and get the newsletters and stuff. When it comes to like a physical product, you might just bring them right to like an e-commerce store with a little video that shows how it's working, what the results are. Again, showing them really the features and benefits of everything. The first thing I do is identify who your exact client and customer is, so who's going to be using this particular product, because, you might even have the same product, but different people might use it in different ways. So like if you've got a spray and that spray literally like creates hair, you can have like the 45-year-old bald guy who's like, oh my God, this is amazing, whatever. But then you have the girl who's like, in her mid-20s, and she's tired of she's so ticked off with dealing with the wigs or like the hair extensions or whatever. And it's like, no, you can spray this on and it magically creates longer hair. It could be the same freaking product, two totally different markets. So the ad is going to be completely different because of those two different target markets.
Right. So defining your market is very, very important, because that actually lays out the whole foundation of it all, right?
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Okay. So time sensitivity, why is that important?
Because if you don't give people a sense of urgency to buy now, they're just not going to buy. This is the same thing that you see in all the infomercials that are online, or the half an hour ads, whatever, like the big shows that they put on. And it's just like, yeah, if you order, QVC is a great example of that, where they're like, if you order before this time, you'll get this bonus thrown in, or, we'll double this thing, if you purchase now, that kind of thing. It gives people that sense of urgency, because most people procrastinate everything. It doesn't matter if you've got, the cure for some disease, unless it's like a life-threatening disease, the person will put it off. And even then, if it is a life-threatening disease, it's like, well, I still feel okay. I don't need the cure yet. You know what I mean? And I hate to put it in that kind of a perspective, but most people, again, think like, oh, if the offer is that good and it's this obvious solution to their problem, they'll just buy. No, you have to learn some sales techniques. You have to learn how to speak to people, and you need to understand what that sales process is and how to get that person to that next step.
Right. Excellent. And how would you advise me to be a trusted advisor? What do you mean by that? How do I advise someone? I mean, I just want them to buy my product, right?
Yeah. Again, with an e-commerce product, it's a little bit different. The way how typical like physical products like that, the way they do that is they pay for celebrity endorsements. So that's why Michael Jordan sells lots of Nikes. You know what I mean? Like it's all about like the celebrity endorsement. Oh, if this person wears them, I want to wear them. If this person, if you look at like Joe Rogan, who's part of UFC, he's one of like the promoters, or I'm sorry, announcers. I think he might even actually own a stake in the company. He's all over that, and he's got a company called Onnit, ONNIT now, where they create like shirts and different apparel and everything. And he does videos where he's wearing all of that, Onnit, garb basically. So it's all about just like branding. Now, if you can't afford or get a celebrity endorsement, you can still start smaller. Obviously, if you can't get Paris Hilton or something like that to promote a hair product, you still need something, or somehow you need to be able to promote it so you can, get some revenue going, right? So usually that comes from demonstrating the product yourself and focusing on the features and benefits rather than the branding. It's still important to have the brand, but you can kind of like borrow in some ways, or piggyback on other smaller brands. So one of the biggest trends of the last probably decade is people are getting not necessarily completely away from celebrity branding, but they're doing like mini celebrity branding. So they're not going to these huge big name celebrities, actors, household names to go and do their products. They're reaching out to people that have huge audiences with blogs or their YouTube channel or Twitter following or whatever it is. And these people I don't know who this person is on Snapchat or whatever, but they're this real famous guy with the kids, and he's like a DJ or something like that, and he's got like 1 million people following him on Snapchat. I'll be like, bro, do a promo and I'll give you half the revenue or whatever. Just promo it on your Snapchat, whatever.
So growth hacking, yeah, and trying to kind of come up with ideas how to joint ventures with people that have already got a good following, and make yourself valuable to
them. Exactly. And I mean, it takes a certain amount of bootstrapping it. And again, I think so many people, like, they're trying to spend, this is probably like tips number 2, 3, 4, and 5. Right?
I think we've given like 100 tips now. 3 tips out the window, yeah.
Yeah, so basically, like, most people are frozen in student mode because they go through the first, ages 6 to 18, if not 6 to 22, going through regular grade school, high school, and then in a college, and they're so used to just like being the student. And they get out and they have a job, and then they believe, because it took them that long of studying to get a job, that it's going to take them years to go and figure out how to do stuff online or whatever. And it really just takes sweat equity, just going out there and doing a bunch of work. And sorry, my phone's ringing. See, I should have turned off my own phone. So just basically going out there and just doing the grunt work that's involved in generating revenue. Like, I'm going to probably make some personal phone calls this afternoon to clients that, again, they're at that stage where, like, they tried to place the order, but that initial consultation didn't go through. I'm probably just going to pick up the phone or email them or both, and basically spend, 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes trying to follow up with each one of those people to create those orders. Because I know it might only seem like, $97. Like, I charge $300 an hour for a consultation. Why would I try and spend all this time to try and create $97 sales? And it's because I know that when those people buy our lead generation service, that's going to be more revenue. And when they start getting results, that's going to be a long-term loyal customer that's going to keep coming back for leads month after month after month. We didn't generate over 110,000 leads now in the last year just by, like, sitting back and hoping that people find us. We're picking up the phone, we're emailing. Yeah, we're Skyping them. If they live local, I'll, reverse phone book them and just knock on their door. No, I'm just kidding. not going to anybody's door. That's scary. Don't do that. But anything short of that, close the sale.
That's so awesome. No, we've got a question coming from Hillary. Before we wrap up, guys, make sure that you opt in below for the free ebook, and you have that delivered to you after the show. So Hillary, thank you very much for coming. Hi Hillary, it's nice to see you. It's been a while. So she's asking about storytelling. Do you have to have lengthy emails to capture the buyer?
Not necessarily. The thing about storytelling is about getting their attention, keeping their attention, and building up that relationship. The problem is most people that do that forget the selling part of it, and they don't really craft the story in such a way as to be able to generate the sale. Right. So 2 things I guess I can say about that, 2 quick tips. One is most people will try and do the story and then leave the link like way down at the bottom, buried in the email, and then wonder why nobody clicks on it. And I generally will put even a hint, like start with a little teaser about the story for, a couple of sentences, and, have a link that says, want to skip to the answer, or, want to go to the head of the line, or something, or like, don't have time to read the whole story, click here to get the solution and learn how to XYZ. Whatever, and then they've got the link. So the link's still in the first few lines of the email, so they don't have to necessarily. So for that impatient, the time-sensitive people that they don't have a lot of time to spend on stuff, and that's really my target market, is people that are just way too darn busy. They're making money. They're too busy making money to do their own marketing. Like, that's who I work with. So no, anyway, so if you got the link higher up in the email, you're going to get a better click-through rate, and then you'll obviously still have the link lower in the story as well. The other tip as far as storytelling goes is create lots of open loops. So I'll tell a part of a story, but at the end, instead of saying, and this is what happened, I'll say, stay tuned to the next email where you're going to see what happened.
Cliffhanger.
And while you're waiting for that email, click this link.
That's a cliffhanger, yeah? Cliffhanger.
Yeah, big cliffhanger, yeah. Open loop cliffhanger kind of thing. I did. And I use a lot of metaphors and a lot of stuff that's very visual, try and involve the senses, all 5 of your senses in the emails that you write. I did an email where I think the subject line was something like, bought a house with cash, comma, burn it down.
Yeah.
And everybody was just like, what? So big, huge pattern interrupt. Like, what the hell is this? I'm confused. Like puppy dog face, like, huh? Whatever. So I opened up the email and I explained, like, imagine going and buying a house for, even if a cheaper house, $150,000, $200,000. And then, the insurance hadn't gone through on it yet, or when, one thing or another happens, and you would pay for the house in cash as an investment, and you're literally like about to move in the next day, and you're showing up with the moving trucks and everything, all the stuff that you own, and then you show up to the house and it's burnt to the ground. And I go through that example and I'm like, watch out for the next email to explain exactly what happened next. And everybody's like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened to you, blah, blah, blah. And the next email I reveal, it was a metaphor for me dropping all sorts of money in my business, and I never got a return on that money. It's like investing over $100,000 into one project or over $40,000 in another, and these kind of things where it's just like these projects that I was basically like kind of like going all in and trying to like betting the farm, so to speak, on. I was willing to do that. And even if some of those projects weren't successful, it was the learning experience through them that allowed me to go to the next project and turn 10 grand into the 150,000, and I made all my money back. But it was emotionally like dealing with, I had all of my prized possessions, or, $200,000 in a house, and the house burnt to the ground and I'm left with nothing. You know what I mean? So it's all about going through little metaphors and stuff like that.
So it's a great opportunity to kind of get creative, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And the thing about, like, if you're really in the zone, you know that this is going to be your career, you're all about building your business, you're probably thinking about it all the time, like every other entrepreneur. And chances are you're relating lots of different things in your everyday life to your business. I remember Vincent, a buddy of mine, he was like in an airport and he was writing an email to his list about, like, when you're in an airport and you get like the moving walkways. He's like, why do people insist on like carrying, dragging a bunch of bags behind them and not using the moving walkway? He's just like, I want path of least resistance. I want the easy way so that even if I decide to walk, I'm walking faster because I'm on the moving walkway. And he's like, this is what our system will do for you. Our system, buy into this opportunity, whatever it is, like that's what you need is the moving walkway. It's going to get you to your goal, to your destination sooner. And it's just like, this dude is in an airport. You know what I mean? Like anything can be a metaphor for business and success.
That's a really good approach because people can make sense of it, right? They can make sense of it.
Yeah, exactly. It's very relatable, and you're not putting pressure on yourself. Like, oh, I don't know what to talk about. I need to like Google a bunch of Tony Robbins videos and watch them for the next 3 hours. Whatever. And it's like no. Just like come up with something in your everyday life. It's not a big deal.
No, excellent stuff. So guys, on the move, you can have anything happen in your life, and you can make a good email about it. So that's brilliant. So Adam, we'll take one more question and we'll wrap up because I know you have got a call on the in about 10-15 minutes. So Barbara, thank you very much for this question. Actually, I'm going to take this one because I think it's quite important one. Barbara loves writing. She hasn't got an online business yet. And she wants to actually start this as a career. Can Adam give me some tips on how to get started and actually get clients for copywriting?
For copywriting, gotcha. Well, I guess the first thing is there are some Facebook groups where you can actually get it's like a job board. One is the Cult of Copy job board. I don't know if it's like invite only or anything like that, and sorry, Colin, if I'm like sending a bunch of people your way that aren't supposed to be in there, but just go ahead and try and get into the group. It's Cult of Copy job board, and the regular group is Cult of Copy anyway. So as far as copywriting goes, we're going to go right back to your question, which was like when I'm getting started, what do I do? It's really identifying who that end user is. So like who uses copywriting services? Is it existing businesses that you want to team up with? Is it people that are, small local businesses? So once you identify who that is, then it becomes, okay, well, which of these businesses definitely use copywriting services and what kind of copywriting services do they need? And then you can formulate whatever your marketing message is going to be. So if there are, a bunch of, you want to contact every single local spa in your area and say, hey, I want to do your social media management and copywriting and do these messages for your email newsletter and yada, yada, yada. You can craft a message and say, hey, imagine if we got a coupon code out, every time that you were short on appointments, or it was really slow, or imagine if, I help you hold contests and we designed a contest, to market that way. Or you can basically come up with, creative ways where they can see some kind of tangible result of your work, and then present them, with what you're going to be able to do to get them that kind of a result. Because ultimately they're interested in what's in it for them, right? So what's the result that they're going to get from your copywriting specifically? And then, again, who's your target market and how can you shift or, gear your pitch towards that particular end user? Your end user being your client, not their end user, but your end user being your client.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. There you go, Barbara. Wonderful answer there for you. And guys, I just wanted to drop this at this point where I think the best way to learn about how people copyright is opt in to like really good experts like Adam Holland here, and actually see how they write, because they've got so much experience. They've done all the trial and error, still doing it, but they've got that experience to know how language works. So even if you read one email a day, have a special inbox for that, just to study material, because they've done it. They've gone through the process. So it will shortcut your learning curve a lot. So that's awesome, Adam. So the topic, we've gone through so much, Adam. It's unbelievable. I know we can go on and on about this, but the topic is the top 3 conversion tips to 10x your income. So Adam, if I was to take you right back to the beginning where you started, back in 2008, just to kind of cut curve and all that frustration and struggle of, trial and error and, just ripping your hair out on why things aren't working. If you were to go back and someone told you what to do, what you know now, what would those 3 things be?
Don't be afraid to pick up the phone and, like I said, be proactive when it comes to closing sales, because most people think like, it's just going to be passive and I don't have to, do that much work. It's, the system or my website will take care of the sales or whatever. You need to be like ferocious when it comes to getting it, not in terms of like talking to your clients ferociously. It's not about that. It's about, really following up and following through with each one of those leads and making sure that wherever they are in that sales process, you're taking them to the next level. So again, first thing is no matter what you do online, if you've got a business, you're a salesperson above all those other things, a salesperson and a marketer, I should say. You got to get those leads and you got to close them. The next thing is in terms of like things you got to do or you got to know or you got to remember. Probably the most important thing is never quit. Like mindset is the biggest thing. And that's not just in terms of traffic and conversions. It's just overall business in general. If you quit, you just didn't learn anything. Every single struggle, failure, speed bump in the road, whatever it is just a learning opportunity. And so many people get like emotionally attached to what the outcome is. It's like, oh, okay, well, I expected a certain result. And because of that expectation, I got disappointed when I didn't achieve that exact expectation. So it's about managing those expectations and not getting emotionally attached to the result. It's just about making daily progress, every single day. So that was kind of like 4 tips right there. But and if I had one more tip, in terms of like overall anything in business or conversions, I'd say, God, outsource everything that you can. If most of the people that when I first got started online were just not technical at all. Like one of them was like afraid of the computer. Another one grew up like on a farm, you know what I mean? And went on to have a very successful internet business. Like most people were just not tech savvy. And it's very counterintuitive that most of the people that I know that have generated 8 figures online or more, we're just not tech people. And you're like, well, how do they make, all this money online on the internet, which is obviously very technological, without having that tech stuff? It's because they focused on the copywriting and the conversions and the sales persuasion and the sales funnel and the big picture stuff. And they just outsourced all the techie skill set kind of stuff. So I think that's one of my biggest lessons too, is especially when I was first starting, I was very much a perfectionist. and I don't want to say control freak, but I kind of had the attitude of like, no, you know, it's my business. Nobody's going to do it better than me. And I want to make sure it's done right. You know what I mean? So I need to do it. That is a really good way to have a job for the rest of your life if you're going to wear every hat in your company. So got to diversify a little bit, or got to outsource a little bit there, and take some of those things off your plate if you want to experience some of that freedom. And now, I mean, like the last 2 years, I've traveled to Cancun, London, San Diego a bunch of times, Vegas, Tampa, Atlanta, Fiji. We're going to Hawaii for our 10-year anniversary in about a week from now. And over the summer, when the kids are out of school, we're going to do a 6-week trip for the middle of the summer, you know, to get out of, I was saying I live in a desert. We live in Phoenix. It's like, it's May and it's already been 100 degrees a couple of times. I'm like, all right, what time is it? What day is it? Let's get out of the desert, you know?
So absolutely brilliant. Thank you, Adam. They are absolutely magical tips, and they're very, very, very important, you know. So thank you so much for sharing. Oh my God, there's so many questions coming in and we're running out of time. But Adam, you very kindly gifted us with an ebook. Can you just quickly kind of go through exactly what's in that book and what people would learn from it and how to get the best out of your ebook that you're giving away today?
Yeah, it's called Conversion Trinity. I basically took the top 3 things that we're doing with our clients to generate more revenue from their existing leads and traffic, and it's just my top 3 conversion strategies.
That's absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much. And Wayne is saying, can we have you back?
Yeah, absolutely.
Adam, you gotta promise me, you gotta come back. You know. Yeah,
it'll probably be after my trips and stuff. But yeah, I'd be happy to come back and stuff. So, am I allowed to plug a URL here at the end?
Yeah, of course you are. I'm going to put that, guys. Wrapping up the show. There is an opt-in box at the bottom. It will have the download for Adam. But Adam, if they want to connect with you just to kind of get more tips, or maybe even get some some work that they have, maybe you can help them with. Is there a link they can actually go to?
Yeah, I own a couple of different companies. One is adamhollandmarketing.com. Pretty simple, adamhollandmarketing.com, and that's for sales funnel services or marketing campaigns. And then I've got another website, guaranteedprospects.com, which is my lead generation service. And then just my Facebook, just facebook.com/Adam D for David Holland. So facebook.com/Adam D Holland.
All the links will be underneath. And Adam, do you actually teach people to do this, or do you actually done for you service?
Most of what I do now is done for you.
Done for you
kind of stuff. I do have some courses and things. So if people contact me, and they want to know more about list building, or they want to know more about my conversions course, they want to know more about remarketing or anything like that, I've got lots of little mini courses as well as larger courses that have to do with it. I just don't, like, usually I open them up and I close them down and that's it, and I don't usually keep them just online forever, to get access to. But yeah, if somebody's in need of a solution, I'm not going to hesitate to recommend them, whatever that solution is going to be. So just hit me up with your question or whatever, and I'll see if there's a solution I can hook you up with.
And we could also have a special offer for dream chasers, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's brilliant. That's absolutely fantastic. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming to class. Don't forget to opt in. I'm really sorry about some of the questions I wasn't able to take. But I will hopefully, oh God, so many coming in. I will try and get them answered for you. Maybe I'll contact Adam on a later date. But Adam, thank you so much. It's been an absolute honor having you and dropping your wisdom and your experience and helping other people chase their dreams and making them a reality too.
Thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun.
That was brilliant. Thank you, guys. See you next week.
Everybody.
See you guys. We've got photographer next week, Tanya Willis. She's actually an expert photographer. Anyone looking for a photography career or looking to find out how to actually get into this, or how graphics work, or how to capture those magical pictures, tune in next week. Same time, same place, guys. Have a fabulous week, and keep on chasing those dreams.